The dark side of fixed field agriculture and the rise of the city-state. Pandemics, non-existent before the rise of the city-states. Granaries attract rodents, causing plagues. Close-quarter living with livestock spread diseases. The granaries created to hold excess grain attract rodents, whose urine and feces mix with the grain, an issue that still occurs today. As one example, the FDA allows for a certain percentage of rat feces in pepper because it is indistinguishable and unremovable from the yield. This rodent waste is then consumed by humans. This will cause newly evolved illnesses to ravage populations, as rodents have been found to carry 10 times more diseases than other mammals. Once humans are no longer roaming hillsides, hunting and gathering, and sedentarism is a strict way of life, humans will begin to corral all manner of animals that will now live, eat, and defecate in close quarters with humans, and compound the ever-growing number of diseases that will take the lives of tens of hundreds of millions of people throughout history. War and brutality, on a scale unimaginable to hunter-gatherer societies. War glorified and encouraged. Armies gather slaves to serve hierarchies. Once fixed-field farming provides the primary source of food for a population, these humans are no longer a mobile group. These new communities must remain in one place to protect this primary food source. This sedentarism will place land ownership and border disputes at the core of civilization for the rest of humanity going forward, and lead to its insatiable fuel for war over territory. This will lead to today's military-industrial complex, as it is now expanded exponentially throughout the copper, bronze, and iron ages and has reached its pinnacle during the digital age after war is globalized, a goal city-states have been striving to achieve for thousands of years.
But there has to be ongoing conflict. Like Assange said, the purpose of the Afghanistan war was not to win it, but to sustain it, because he says that the function, as I've told you many times, because I remembered it and it seemed accurate to me, the function of the American government is to extract your money from you, the public, and give it to private companies. Just keep looking out for pandemics and wars and situations that create that type of dynamic.
Specialization of industry. Individuals no longer survival generalists. Specialization of trades create inequality in society. As hunter-gatherers, all humans were generalists, with a large spectrum of skills and knowledge that were needed to survive and thrive in the environment. Since an entire community is not essential to produce the grain required to feed its populace, the age of specialization of industry is born, where individuals now have one specific job, one specific knowledge and skill set that serves the community or city-state and earns them their share of the annual crop. These specialized tasks that vary in complexity will only be performed by certain individuals who were taught by or developed their trade in the service of the state. This specialization now exalts one person's survival, their lifestyle, above another, due to the knowledge and complexity of the tasks they perform, and therefore the class system arises. Why is that a problem? Just ask this guy.
But we live in an age based on science and technology with formidable technological powers.
Science and technology are propelling us forward at accelerating rates.
That's right. And if we don't understand it, by we I mean the general public, if it's something that, oh, I'm not good at that, I don't know anything about it, then who is making all the decisions about science and technology that are going to determine what kind of future our children live in? Just some members of Congress? But there's no more than a handful of members of Congress with any background in science at all.
In a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, with its lack of complexity, no aspect of survival was greater than the instinctual cognitive capacity that was naturally developed in the Homo sapiens species over the millions of years of their evolution. Survival wasn't related to over-complexity. Everything we needed to know could be taught to every individual directly by those with a vested interest in their well-being. Hierarchy. Society broken into tiers with peasant class. Seats of power attract narcissists. States create vulnerable existence for citizens. Corruption and abuse belittles the individual. We went from ousting the narcissist and the sociopath from our hunter-gatherer societies to protecting them within a hierarchy that rules over us. The individuals assuming charge of the granaries will now have control over who starves and who is well fed, particularly during droughts and famines. Those who are now specialized workers within these city-states will be dependent on the trust given to the hierarchy for their share of the yield. If one's daily production of weapons or plows or garments are not met, or if they express a view that does not hold the hierarchy in an acceptable favor, will they receive a lesser share of the grain? If their sons or daughters are not given to the ones in power for nefarious purposes, will they receive a lesser share? This new form of power and subjugation is now at the heart of our very survival, our food source. And as these hierarchies expand their power beyond the granaries, they will become a scourge upon the lives of individuals and of all humanity throughout the majority of recorded history. As found in the historical text, these newly formed hierarchies declare themselves to be gods. In nearly every ancient culture will declare that agriculture was given to humanity from the gods. Families fractured. Parents work away from home. Children educated by the state.
The point is that there are always trade-offs.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, for example, you might argue that the fact that we live longer is a product of a society that also means we live in atomized groups, and therefore we're not connected with family. We have fewer children and blah, blah, blah. And we end up dying in care homes as opposed to being looked after by immediate family.
Just so.
Yeah.
Just so.
Additionally, but in no way less vital, the family unit during the hunter-gatherer era was cohesive and not fractured as it is today. We lived in small, closely knit tribal families and a small collective of regional tribes. Cooperation was obvious because one's survival depended upon it. This reciprocity is common amongst pack animals, as is the resulting bond. Everyone had meaning and purpose within the tribe because everyone had a direct role in the tribe's survival. When we observe modern-day hunter-gatherers around the globe, we find that they are simple, happy, and family-oriented, and want little to do with our unreasonable and overly complex modern societies. And everyone in the tribe was taught from birth by their surrounding family members all the knowledge necessary to thrive, and not taught by some stranger in yet another box fragmented away from their family unit, a box created by the state or local government to instruct the youth on the very hyper-complexities to which they, the state, have perpetuated. Poor health. Human health decreases under fixed-field agriculture.
We are the only animal in the world that has systematic obesity, that has systematic depression, that has systematic diabetes, obesity, other metabolic issues. You don't have lions and giraffes in the wild. A wolf in the wild, right, or some kind of derivative of a dog in the wild has 0% obesity rate, close to 0% cancer rate. Domesticated dogs, which eat our own crap and the processed crap we make, have more than a 50% cancer rate. Okay, there's no animals except us. And the only difference between us and other animals is we have experts telling kids to sit in desks all day in sunless rooms, not moving when they're made to move, learning from the teacher and eating processed crap.
James C. Scott, in addition to other points made in this episode, points out that farming results in a large increase in drudgery, decline in health, and life expectancy, as well as arthritis that began to be revealed in the excavated bones of ancient farmers due to repetition of motion, and humanity loses several inches in height. Compared to hunter-gatherer tribes, modern humans work several hours more during each day in order to provide food for their family. Population growth. Droughts cause mass starvation. Mental disorders in society grow exponentially. During droughts, the monochromatic nature of single-grained, fixed-field agriculture will prove devastating and lead to mass starvation as populations become too large and the yield is in decline. a population that no longer knows how to fend for themselves outside of the city walls. We often hear population proponents say that the more population, the more inventions and possibilities for the cure for cancer. Yet, with the exponential growth of humanity, so will the ratio of mental disorders grow exponentially. Disorders such as narcissistic personality disorder, which thrives in a possessions and glory-obsessed society. In modern times, this increase in mental disorders can be detected on an ever-increasing scale as measured from outer suburbs towards the interior of urban areas and city centers. Population increase not only boosts the number of mental disorders by orders of magnitude, but population density has a direct correlation to an increase in crime, disputes, and unrelenting chaos. As mentioned before, it is still a mystery as to why humanity institutionalized fixed-field agriculture, since it makes the citizens of that society vulnerable on many levels. I'm not saying that the hunter-gatherer life was a perfect utopia. There were indeed trade-offs. Some tribal communities had it better than others, especially those that kept to the coast of large bodies of water and could therefore add aquatic life to their survival strategy. The current narrative or propaganda regarding prehistory hunter-gatherers as being brutish, unintelligent, and in constant danger while living in misery is a false narrative created by hierarchies and accepted by those who are now far too domesticated and pampered to survive without the protection of the state. As hunter-gatherers, we did not need to question our meaning or our purpose in life. Instead, we lived our meaning, we lived our purpose every day, in the same way a wolf or an eagle lives their purpose, their meaning, without questioning. The modern-day existential crisis is a post-city-state phenomenon. In fact, the grand soul of humanity was forged from the real-life experiences that arose from this very period of prehistory, well before the rise of the city-states. Our challenges, our triumphs, our reciprocity, and even our sense of humor and deep family bonds. Everything that truly made us noble as humans. And the rise of the city-state and the resulting hierarchies have only made us less. They supplanted a vulnerability deep in our being. We have become a lost and confused species that is fractured and demoralized. And no manner of technology and comfort will repair us or fill the void inside our souls.